Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing today? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is $3 Theater, and this is a bit of a different video. It's one that's kind of I don't want to say a response, but I kind of want to like clarify a couple things. Okay, so here we go. It's going to be a little bit weird. So this is obviously Rian Johnson on the right, and the guy on the left there in the terribly cropped image is Devin Faraci, the former editor for Badass Digest, or what it turned into was BirthMoviesDeath. This dude, I cannot begin under any circumstances to fully explain how much of a dirtbag this guy is. I mean, he is terrible, not just for what he was accused of and ultimately admitted to, but just in general, what kind of a dirtbag this guy is. To give you a bit of context before we dive into this, on the day in August 2014, at the start of Gamergate, Devin went on there and said that Gamergate was worse than ISIS. Now, he was being hyperbolic because he was very hyperbolic, attacking Gamergate constantly. Called us worse than plantation owners, worse than the KKK, worse than Nazis, being hyperbolic just because. But on that day, when he called Gamergate worse than ISIS, ISIS released a video of them beheading an American journalist. So, no apology, no retraction, no nothing, no remorse, no nothing. This guy didn't care. So anyway, why are we talking about him? Well, this tweet popped up from Data Racer, and it's been getting a lot of play. And it's not entirely accurate, and that's why I wanted to talk about it here. I don't want to have to defend people. I'm not defending anybody. I just want to point out that this is a skewed piece of information that's being spread around as almost like fact. A couple of people have made YouTube videos on it that are, playing the game like, oh, is it not real? No, there's more here. Here's what we have to figure out. Okay. Rian Johnson deleted 20,000 tweets in February 2018. This is the accusation. He did it to hide his close friendship with Devin Faraci. Devin is an anti-Gamergate SJW who admitted to committing sexual assault. IndieWire was defending Devin as the real victim, and then Rian nuked years of tweets with Faraci. The thing with that is, though, it's not entirely accurate. And I say that because at the time, there was a lot going on. And I will touch upon that, but let's take a look here first. So this is one of the pieces of evidence that's coming out, coming from a saltier than crate, obviously throwaway account on Reddit. Take with a grain of salt. It says, if there's one lesson I hope Disney and Lucasfilm learn from this, it's don't hire Twitter trolls to make Star Wars movies. One of the things that baffles so many of us Star Wars fans is that Rian Johnson's open contempt for supporters of George Lucas's vision. How could a guy responsible for directing one of the biggest films of the last 20 years be such a petty, thin-skinned, perma-tweeting bully? Well, he got it from his best friend. Before Rian deleted everything, Johnson was part of a very strange, insular, deeply cruel subculture that called itself Film Twitter, led by Devin Faraci, formerly of Alamo Drafthouse, and a blog called BirthMoviesDeath. Film Twitter was an army of drinking buddies who would get wasted together and scream at people online all day who disagreed with their hot movie takes. But to be fair, this is Twitter. How much of Twitter is actually like not spent yelling at somebody over their hot take? Not a lot. A lot of it is like that. So film Twitter is film Twitter. Like, I know people, who are in it, and it's, again, one of these things where a grain of salt, right? That's why saltier than crate's an interesting way of looking at it. Now, this guy says, I personally went to a couple of their meetups. Imagine 20 comic book guys getting hammered, singing karaoke, and passing around their phones to brag about the strangers they were totally schooling. Just irredeemable and vile shit from a sweaty legion of dork alcoholics. Their usual excuses for harassing people would be some nonsensical and completely irrelevant rhetoric about gender or race, didn't like Force Awakens, misogyny, thought one of their buddies knew indie film sucked, bigotry. These guys spread so much hate but would immediately retreat into their I'm being bullied harassment when their victims dished it back. This is called crybullying. Now, I have seen a few of these things firsthand on Twitter with the journalists, right? And I call out the Access Media a lot for a lot of this kind of boys club mentality, and it's still happening. The echo chamber is still there. So it's one of those things where there is some history here, and I haven't seen this firsthand myself, but I have seen some of those people hang out at Comic-Con, so they all know each other. I mean, LA LA is a bit of a small town, is the best way to describe it, right? In that regard. Anyway, Ryan, again, this is the accusation here is that Ryan is trying to hide his past from Devin. That's the accusation here. That's what we have to focus on. Now, Rian Johnson eventually had to delete all of his Twitter references to Devin Faraci after he admitted to assaulting a woman. They are still, however, very close friends. So for all his posturing, he's a total fraud who hangs out regularly with a creepy criminal. The online toxicity of the TLJ fanbase is a direct reflection of his director and his social circle. But the thing is, there's no proof of that. Now, the guy is going to try in this regard. This is the first piece of evidence that he talked about here, right? This is the evidence. This is why I'm having so much trouble wrapping my head around this in the way that they want to frame it. So the IndieWire article is from Zach Scharf from February 2nd, 2018, saying film writer Devin Faraci says he was suicidal after being accused of sexual assault, saying that he stepped down. Okay, which is a fair representation of what he said in a PBS in an interview, which is what Zach is quoting. This is what Devin said. This is not defending him. It's not shielding him from it. That's the thing. You gotta, by talking about it isn't defense of somebody. Like, I'm talking about this and I'm not defending Faraci. I hate Faraci. I've been 2 feet from him and I had to start a conversation with a random woman because I was so close to like decking him in the face. I hate this guy. And so like, I'm not defending him. I'm not defending Rian Johnson. But let's look at the information that's available. So he's showing here like total Twitter followers on the side of Social Blade. Then tweets posted. So in February of 2018, February 9th specifically, there was a loss of 20,000 tweets. And then from there, it was just like a lot of tweets, not a lot of tweeting after the fact. Right. And that's their evidence that, he was hiding Devin Faraci. Again, there's no evidence to support that, except this is the article itself. It says Faraci stepped down from his role as editor-in-chief of BirthMoviesDeath in the aftermath of the allegation, but he was back in the headlines September 2017 when it was revealed that he had been quietly, I think it's September 2018 it's September 2017. He'd been quietly rehired by parent company Alamo Drafthouse. Drafthouse founder Tim Lee confirmed Faraci had returned to the company, which resulted in a severe backlash. Faraci then resigned from the Alamo in the wake of the uproar and has remained mostly quiet until now. And this is him. This is talking about an interview that he gave. So the question then becomes, where is Rian Johnson deleting these tweets about Devin Faraci? So this is their whole thing, right? This is the evidence here. It's if you look, it's a lot of people from Access Media. You see Devin Faraci in the top with the private account. We see Film School Rejects talking to Rian Johnson and talking about Rian Johnson and Devin Faraci from 2012. That was right around the time Looper was coming out. In fact, if you look at these here, a lot of these, even the BirthMoviesDeath, so the tweet there, that was from Badass Digest. It was from September 21st, 2012, right around the time Looper was coming out. There's a lot of press that was going on. These guys relatively know each other. And that's what I'm trying to say here. These people relatively know each other, and a lot of them are friends. Good, bad, or the other. A lot of them are friends. And that's something to consider here. Again, we see like film critic Hulk and Mr. Beeks, who was formerly of Ain't It Cool News, and a few people here. And then it's even, more tweets over here mentioning Rian Johnson and Devin Faraci from, a couple different things. Because Rian Johnson, a little over a year ago in July 2018, had said, he said, he's always amazed how few people know about Gamergate. It's not only the key to understanding so many violent harassment campaigns, it's a lot of the same people angry about the same stuff using the same playbook. Funny thing about that, too, is in response to that tweet, I offered to explain Gamergate to him. Anita Sarkeesian then took a screenshot of that and called me out publicly, which is pretty funny. And but then after this again here is not necessarily any kind of evidence to say anything here. This is all just kind of, coincidence. And perhaps, that's all it is. That's all it is, in my opinion. It's trying to argue that Rian Johnson is hiding something in his past because he knew a guy who did a bad thing. Right. And it's guilt by association, which is why I want to say something about this, because I don't agree with it. Now, this is another thing too. This is from February 16th, 2018. This guy named James Ball. And he says, given how many people today seem to be doing it and how clunky it is to do, Twitter should just build in an auto delete feature. Now, the reason why I bring this specific thing up has a lot to do with the fact that around that time, around February 2018, a lot of people were deleting tweets. And this had a lot to do coming straight off of the Me Too movement. When that Me Too thing happened, it was people taking everything out of context, everything they could. It was a mad dash to dive back in and find any little past transgression in order to cancel somebody. That's what this whole thing was about. It was all about people just going back and deleting old tweets because they were afraid of being canceled, because there was a massive movement online from people that were trying to make this a reality, that were trying to do that. And they were successful in some aspects too. People were losing their jobs over things that they had tweeted out. And the thing is, here it is, 2019, almost the end of 2019, and people are still losing their jobs for things they tweeted out years ago. Right? They're still losing their jobs for things they tweeted out years ago. And that's kind of, I think, what it is Rian Johnson was just covering his ass. Is it because he was shielding Devin Faraci and their terribleness? I have literally no way of knowing. And neither does the person who made the accusation. Neither does the data tracer. And anyone else who is talking about this doesn't have the factual information to make the claim. And I don't take any pleasure in doing anything to remotely come across as I'm even somewhat defending Faraci or Johnson. I don't want to do that. But I believe in there being evidence. I believe in there being actual proof of a crime or a transgression, and trying to just push guilt by association because you don't like the players that are involved is not the right course of action. And people who are spreading this information for quick YouTube clicks or quick clicks on their website should be called out for it, because it's not factual and it's spreading bad intel. And the last thing we need to do is continuously push that stuff. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I don't like either of these people. Not one bit. Not a fan of either person. But I understand the world that they lived in. Indie guys get to know film journalist guys. It's the same thing we saw with gaming and Gamergate. It's the same thing we saw with all that stuff. It's a very, very cronyistic environment. But that doesn't mean that everyone involved is doing something bad or should be treated as such. It's something that's worth reporting on and holding people to account, but making basically baseless claims over just doing a simple Twitter search and framing an argument that doesn't have the information to back it up is not right, and we should not be supporting that kind of action. You want to criticize Rian Johnson for making a bad movie? By all means, do it. You want to criticize Devin Faraci for things that he has said and things that he has done? By all means, do it. But don't fabricate things out of thin air, right? A throwaway account on Reddit, which could potentially be true. I don't know. It has to be backed up by actual facts and evidence. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying like these people. I'm not saying don't believe what's said. I'm saying ask for evidence. If you don't have evidence, then why the hell are we here? Anyway, your thoughts, your opinions, they should be interesting. They should be very fascinating about this one, because I do feel that we need to focus more on the evidence versus the speculation and theory, especially when it's dealing with people's real lives. So that's all I wanted to say about that. I look forward to your thoughts, your opinions. Have yourself a great day, guys, and peace out.